Hi AVID family, Erica Levitch here, AVID Program Manager from California. I wanted to make a video about our digital note-taking resources that AVID has created and also the other distance learning resources that are available on MyAVID. And I also thought I'd start putting a picture of myself so I'm not such this like a weird disembodied voice talking at you. I don't look like that right now. After 3 weeks in self-isolation, I look very different, very casual. But anyway, I hope you find this video helpful. After you navigate to MyAVID, there are two places where these resources are kept. Under your quick links here, you'll see this COVID-19 resources. You can get to them that way. Or this rotating banner has a slide here where it says resources for COVID-19 instruction, and you can click on it there. Once you're here, there is a lot going on, and I am going to come back and unpack this later. But if you scroll down to digital formats here, there are a lot of options in terms of digital note-taking. So we have learning logs, Cornell notes, 3-column and 2-column notes. I'm going to click on 2-column notes because I'm going to use these as an example. Now you can't edit in this copy, so you're going to have to make your own copy. And I'm just going to call them 2-column note examples. And once you've downloaded your own copy, you can assign this to students in Google Classroom, and that's the example that I'm going to do for you in just a moment. In a previous video, I showed you how to get to your AVID weekly resources by clicking on the blue My eLearning tab, navigating to AVID Weekly, and then I opened up an article that I called the blob and uploaded that article to Perusal. So once I put it in Perusal, I showed you how to highlight the title and I added the essential question there. So now that we're caught up, I'm going to show you how to upload the notes onto Google Classroom using the same article, same essential question. So you're just taking that critical reading that the students have engaged in and you're extending that. So here we are in my Google Classroom. Now I don't teach anymore, so this is a fake classroom, and some of my old AVID students were nice enough to join so that I could assign them some fake work. So that was pretty great. So I'm going to create an assignment, and it is the 2-column notes from the article The Blob. Now I'm going to add from my Google Drive. So when you download a copy into a Google Drive, they should pop up. And I've already edited the notes, so I'll show you that in a moment. And I want here to make a copy for each student so that every single student, once they open it, they can go ahead and add everything I want them to add into the notes and turn it in. And instructions, I put instructions on the notes, so I'm not going to put anything here, although you can double up. That would probably be a good idea. And then assign. So while that's assigning, I'm going to go back into my notes and show you what I wrote down. So I wrote down the essential question from the article, the same one, how do scientists design research? And then on the left side, I'm having them do list the scientific research steps and connections you made between these steps and the article, and then record what questions or wonderings you have after making connections between the article and the scientific research steps. Now, to get ideas for these 2-column notes, I opened up my Writing for Disciplinary Literacy book, and I looked for some ideas here. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can have students engage in 2-column notes. This is where I got my idea from. So after assigning the work, I decided that I really needed to add the article in order for students to be able to really fully access this, just in case they don't have access to Perusal or they have issues with that there. So I'm going to find the article that I downloaded here. And so then you can keep adding files here. You can assign here which students you want to do that, or if you don't want all the students to do it, so you can differentiate that way. If you want to make it graded, due date. I didn't go through any of this last time, so I just wanted to make sure that I talked about it this time. And then you can add a rubric here as well. So there's a lot of great things that you can do, which I'm sure you know about on Google Classroom. So then now they have access to the article and the notes, which is great. So then I'm going to go back to MyAVID and show you a few of the other resources that we have. So AVID's put this page together as kind of a landing page for all of your online resources during distance learning. So you can see here, these are all of the topics that we've researched and developed resources for so far, but they're constantly being updated. So make sure that you check back regularly. So we've looked at a couple of these already. This is actually really great. So an AVID classroom. But this can be adapted for any classroom. I would recommend going here. They're highlighting some great work that we found from one teacher in particular. So this is from Mrs. Matheson. And so if I download this, I thought this was really great when I opened it earlier. So there's, a letter, some kind of what's required, grade check, which as an AVID teacher, you definitely want to stay on top of, although it might be a little bit difficult right now. Learning log example, and then an AVID choice board. So I love that it's designed with Wicker, and then these are all hyperlinks. So I just wanted to show that resource to you because I think that is a really great example, and hats off to Mrs. Matheson for putting that together. And then we have notebooks here, relational capacity building. So we know that right now it's really hard to build relationships and keep those relationships that you've spent so much time building with your students, to keep them strong. So these are some great resources that AVID put together to keep you kind of thinking creatively about how to keep these relationships going. So virtual art galleries, fun with words, show and tell, trivia. There's just a lot of good stuff in here. So I would encourage you, when you have time, I know we're all really busy at home with nothing to do, to kind of look through these and think about ways that you might engage your students. And then there's all the directions below. So this is kind of a great starting spot if you're thinking about ways to engage your students in distance learning, but keep that relationship alive, which is really important. So if I go back here, we already talked about the note-taking templates. So anytime that you're using notes or you want students to take notes on something or engage in note-taking, these templates are wonderful because you can upload them to Google Classroom, share them with all of your students, and so they all have copies. And then these are weeks at a glance, so for the AVID elective. So these are example units, so you don't have to go digging through and looking for them yourself. And then AVID Excel, or AVID elective for long-term English learners in middle school. There's a couple of great example units here as well for those students. And then these are tool tip sheets if you're using any of these. So I used, if I can find it, Perusal here in my previous video. So here is just some great tips and tricks on getting started, or you can watch my old video if you don't want to read all of this. So either way, but it's great that there are all of these resources if you're thinking about using any of these, just to kind of give you an idea about how it's going to work and how it can help engage your students during these really strange times. Okay, thank you very much. That's all I really had for you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always available, or you can always ask your program manager or district director. And I hope you found this helpful, and have a great day.